Gotta love being able to sneak up on a horde of enemies. Just picking the right weapon for the job. None of these will be any the wiser. Jeez. Crap. Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we are checking out a gameplay mod by the name of Hearts of Demons Revenant. This is a mod that allows you to express your inner agitated skeleton largely through the medium of shoulder-mounted weaponry, of which the standard default pistol entry just so happens to be the Revenant launchers, albeit a much more beefed-up incarnation, especially in comparison to your common garden variety Revenant. So yeah, when it comes to how relatively OP you should expect to be during the course of this mod, I'd say that the answer is most assuredly very. I mean, just look how quickly I was able to mince those Hell Knights with the AYN flame cannons here. It's ridiculous. And even though I've ran out of ammo, I can still keep on using this weapon. Same goes for any other shoulder-mounted weapon during the course of Revenant, because this amped-up murder machine also takes advantage of something called grave energy, which can be acquired through the souls of dead enemies, and basically works as a fallback option when it comes to damage dealing. It's not quite as effective as the appropriate designated ammo type for that particular weapon, but it still allows you to essentially keep the party going. So, how about the Hydras? If the prospect of strapping two beefy-looking chain guns to each shoulder is your idea of a good time, then you're going to be in some fine company with this particular pickup. I will say, however, that it could stand to be a little bit more beefed up in the sound category. When you're firing that kind of thing, I'd expect a sound that's a little bit more, let's say, bone-rattling. But somewhat paradoxically, you do get that effect once you've run out of ammo and have to resort to grave energy. Not as sold on the dual fire mode though. Apparently it deals bigger chunks of damage for the burst fire, but it's just not as satisfying. And let's face it, if I want to deal bigger chunks of damage, I just whip out the Leviathans. This is the rocket launcher slot. Now they're just like rapid-fire howitzers. They're insane. And yes, if you don't feel like wasting ammo, you can indeed pick up standard weaponry, such as the shotgun here, which I find mildly hilarious. It's like a final insult to something you don't deem worthy of dying in a glorious hail of fire and death, like you can unleash from the Malphas here. These are in the plasma gun slot, and oh man, I love that secondary. The lead up and the fire, it's just really pitch perfect to me. And it is one of those weapons that just feels glorious to hold down the fire button on and just devastate an entire room of enemies with. Seriously, it's glorious. But now you probably can't help but think, what's in the Bahamut? Well, it's a laser rail cannon. It's basically two shoulder-mounted railguns, which is cool. Cool as heck, especially when you get the firing rate down and you're just nailing enemies left, right, and center with precision hits. But it's probably not quite the big-ticket Devastator type weapon that you were hoping for, and I regret to inform you that it's probably going to be a little while before that's included, because that is a future prospect not quite yet ready, located in Slot 8, under the tantalizingly awesome name of the Behemoth. Now, with weapons such as the Leviathan cannons at my fingertips, you might be right in assuming that I'm probably going to be dealing myself a little bit of splash damage every now and again, and that is where Revenant accounts for such sloppy regard to personal safety by allowing you to overheal like crazy. I mean, to begin with, it's already fairly generous. It starts you off at 300 points of health, but if you should find yourself lucky enough to come across multiple soul spheres during the course of your run, you can boost that all the way up to 999 points. And if that ain't quite enough, you can also do the same with armor, basically turning you into a walking armored apocalypse tank that can practically stand in the middle of a gargantuan field of enemies and essentially, without fear, aim those Leviathan cannons directly at its own feet. Come to think of it, I'm reasonably sure there's a way that I could test this out. Okay, maybe not. Friendship ended with the Leviathan cannons, the Malphas are now my best friend. Okay, sure, I can also kill myself by accident with these as well, but there's a lot less chance of that happening. These are a little bit more evenly distributed, let's say, when it comes to the damage dealing, and even if I am up close and personal when I decide to spray something in the face with multitudes of micro rockets, I can probably take the hit. But let's face it, this is a mod where the word restraint should never ever feature in its description, and quite frankly, it is all the better off for it. This is a mod of excess, of overwhelming firepower, of unleashing that agitated skeleton inside, and just utterly devastating anything that has the poor fortune to be in front of you at the time. I love this mod. It's the perfect antidote to a shitty day. It really is, and what fills me with joy is the knowledge that there is more yet to come. I mean, my mind is reeling with regards to the possibilities of what the behemoth could end up being. It's either going to be something that is so utterly devastating that firing it would mean the death of everything on the level, including yourself, or maybe something that's just a little bit more out there, something that requires an excessive charge time. Heck, a black hole generator would probably fit right in. I mean, I've been spoiled with regards to uber weapons. Russian Overkill has a lot to answer for, but still, that doesn't stop me from getting excited when it comes to potential possibilities. On that front, the Behemoth is not the only unknown quantity in this version. There is also a Slot 1 weapon, commonly associated with the chainsaw, but here it is listed as the Azura Combat System. That feels a bit more melee focused, wouldn't surprise me, but being able to do a few more interesting things with the fists would certainly not go amiss. That is, aside from also being able to wield a shotgun, machine gun, grenade launcher, and an axe. Gosh, not sure what else really needs to be said about Revenant. I suppose I could touch on a few visual elements here, such as the head-up display, which at first, I freely admit, did feel a little overwhelming. A lot of information in all sorts of spaces around the screen here, but once you kind of figure out the lay of the land, it does become a lot more readable, a lot less chaotic. But for those of you that find it still a bit much as you continue your play, you can indeed dig into the menus here and disable various HUD elements. In my particular case, there was one that I needed to disable. There was an additional head-up display reticule in the middle that for some reason was just making me go a little bit cross-eyed, but once I disabled that, it sorted me right out. So fear not, it is customizable and well worth tinkering with to find your ideal level of comfort. But all things considered, this is certainly shaping up to be yet another brilliant entry into the Hearts of Demons series. There is another one, believe it or not. I covered it a while back. It goes by the name Hearts of Demons Baron, and if you like what you see here, you should most assuredly check that one out too. I'll endeavor to put a link in the end screen for all who are curious, and as for the rest of you that are probably chomping at the bit to give this one a whirl, you'll find the link as usual, in the description below. While I'm at it, I'd like to give a great big thank you to my wonderful patrons on Patreon. Thank you so very much for supporting the channel and for helping to make content like this possible. If you're interested in lending a hand yourself, maybe you'd like to see your name in the credits, maybe you'd like to gain early access to my videos before anyone else. If that's the case, you'll find the link to my Patreon page also in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mods you'd like to see me cover in future editions of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.